What's going on, everybody? Welcome to What's Shaking Titans with Gary and April. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Sunday. And we're going to get tonight started off with some hot topics. Our first hot topic is Reshad Reaver. His trial date for his simple assault charge in Pittsburgh is set for August 16th at 7:30 a.m. It has been 14 months since the since he initially started facing these charges in court. The charges were filed in Pittsburgh. Let's see. Reaver was a fourth-round pick out of Pittsburgh in 2021, and the charges came to light right after he was drafted for the Tennessee Titans. So, do we think that this trial date will affect the Titans with Reshad Reaver possibly facing, according to this report, simple possession is a misdemeanor charge, which he could face up to 2 years in jail, but is most likely going to be just probation time, especially for him being in the NFL. I think they're just going to give him a little slap on the wrist. But April, do you think that this is going to be something that affects the Titans in the long run?
No, I don't. I think they're well aware of this, more than likely when they drafted him and when he was coming here. So I think that they're probably well prepared for this. That's why the Titans have such a good lawyer, and they probably more than likely already know what's coming, but they just haven't released it yet.
Yeah, I don't see it being a big deal. Reshad Reaver broke it. What was it? I think his fibula. During the Colts game, 3 games into the regular season last year. So I really don't see it being that big of a deal for the Titans. But we wanted to bring the news to y'all first. So with that being said, April, let's get into some pretty exciting topics here. We've been waiting since our very first podcast to drop this. We kind of dropped a little hint during our first podcast that we would be coming with this. So April, it's time. Let's break down our top 3 passers of the football and the Tennessee Titans and Houston Oilers offense. So, April, you want to start this out?
Okay, so the list that you sent over, I was shocked, but I wasn't. Of course, looking at them here, we really have only had 3 passers of any kind of merit anyway in Tennessee. And of course, we know that that's Warren Moon. We know that that's Steve McNair. And what a lot of people don't know is that George Blanda is actually on that list, coming in at number 2 as far as touchdowns. And that is with Steve McNair being just under him with touchdowns.
No, Steve McNair is above him, just above him.
Well, it says here touchdown. Steve McNair is 156, and George Bland is 165.
Oh, okay. You were talking. Okay, I thought you meant. Sorry, you're talking about just touchdowns. I thought you were talking about overall.
Just touchdowns. So no, not overall. I was just saying that touchdown is crazy that he's not talked about more with how many touchdowns that he did have, but it's okay that Steve McNair is a little bit more memorable and probably a little bit newer to our memory. I can barely remember Warren Moon, but Steve McNair is definitely the one that lasts for us. But George Bland is definitely one worth talking about.
So who would be your number 3 out of all the QBs? Who would you pick number 3?
That we've
to be
had
the passer from your team.
Oh, to be the passer for my team, I definitely would pick. I would leave George where he is at number 3 overall. Just looking at all the numbers here, even though he's had more touchdowns, that's probably due to the people that he had around him more than his actual talents. but I definitely would leave him at the number three
Yeah.
quarterback. Hmm.
Okay, so who is your number two?
As much as we want to love Steve McNair and stuff, if we're talking about passer, he was more of a leg guy. He used his legs more. He was the more exciting quarterback, definitely, but he definitely was not the better passer. So I would leave him where he is with number two for sure behind Warren Moon. Warren Moon was definitely a gunslinger. So I think these are actually ranked exactly right where they need to be.
Definitely, definitely. So my top three passers of the football, it's what's the what's what's that guy's last name? The number four dude on the list, Dan.
Pastrani.
No, almost it. How you say it?
Pastrani.
Pastrani.
Yeah,
So Dan Pastrani, I would take him as my number three,
that's
McNair
interesting.
as my number two, and
Hmm.
then Warren Moon, which is my all-time favorite quarterback for Tennessee Titans Oilers history. Like I feel
Yeah.
like Warren Moon was definitely the most talented and skilled passer of the football that we've ever had in our Titans organization. Um,
Hmm.
when that man would throw the ball, it literally sounded like the leather would rip off the football as it was releasing
Hmm.
from his hands. He would throw it so hard that his wide receivers would often break their fingers and they'd have to tape their whole hand up in order to catch the
Yeah.
football because he was throwing with such, precision and force. So,
Oh
I
yeah.
think Warren Moon is definitely hands down one of my favorite all-time quarterbacks in NFL history. Um,
Hmm.
so, with that being said, what do you think about Mariota being put above Tannehill?
Their numbers are very similar. Once you break it down number wise, you do see also that Mariota played more games than Tannehill, of course, right now as a QB. 63 games compared to 45 games. Um, so it's probably better for his numbers, but I'm actually shocked about how similar and stuff the numbers are in Ryan Tannehill's first 45 games compared to all of Mariota's 65 games. I'm not seeing much of a difference there. I definitely see that they could easily be swapped out, and especially after this year, we'll kind of see exactly how it goes. Um, the big number that stands out to me is though Mariota had 44 interceptions for all 65 games that he was here, whereas Tannehill already has 27 interceptions for just the 45 games that he's been here. So it's going to be interesting to see if that number grows even more, if it kind of stays where it's at. But I don't really see much of a huge difference in the two quarterbacks. They both have 76 touchdowns. Their touchdown percentage is very close. Ryan has very small percentage above Tannehill. I mean, above Mariota as far as their percentage. So looking at these numbers, I'm just like, um, I'm not wowed, and looking at these numbers makes me even more want Malik Willis to just come in here and do a good job because look at the names of these quarterbacks that are our top quarterbacks, and look how far back you have to go to get even decent numbers on a board, a three-digit number. As far as touchdown goes, you have to go all the way back to Steve McNair in order to get the
Yeah,
first three-digit number as far as touchdown goes. And I just think that's absolutely ridiculous. We have to get somebody in the quarterback position that is going to take us all the way. Now, is Tannehill going to be that person? I don't know. And granted, Steve McNair was here for a lot more games than Tannehill or our past quarterbacks, but it's just, I mean, but even if you look at Dan Pastrami, he was here for 125 games, and he only had 96 touchdowns. So it's like we're ready. we're ready for a quarterback, and I'm not
Yeah.
impressed with what Tannehill's doing, and I hope that he does a lot better this year. To be honest.
Yeah, I think with everything that is excuse me, that is looking Ryan Tannehill, down the face, like everything that he has on him with having Malik Willis behind him to how the season ended last year and the simple fact that, Ryan Tannehill has yet to be able to throw us, back into a game, especially in the playoffs. His playoff his playoff life reminds me a lot of the Chiefs' former quarterback, Alex Smith. I feel like he's one of those quarterbacks that can get you into contention, but never to that next level. Kind of like an Andy Dalton, and like I said earlier, just a second ago, Alex Smith. So yeah, Ryan Tannehill has a lot to prove to the Tennessee Titans organization and fan base. And if he don't, well, then he better watch out because Malik Willis, Music City Malik, he's right there behind him and he's ready.
Did
And
you give him that nickname? Did
I
you give
think the
him that
only
nickname?
downside or the only thing Malik really needs to work on is his like 20-yard out pass to his left. If he can pull in his accuracy and be a little more accurate when he's throwing that 20-yard out on his left hand side, like I think Malik's gonna have a good shot, at least contending with Tannehill. Um, so yeah, I definitely agree with what you said. It seems like our list was right there, with each other. So yeah, I like that. Um, with that being said, let's
I gotta ask Gary, did you give Malik that nickname, or was that a nickname he already had when he came to Nashville?
do what?
Did you give Malik that nickname, or was that a nickname he already had when he came to Nashville? The Music City
Oh
Malik.
no, no. So I heard that. I want to say it might have been 1045 The Zone. Maybe Buck Rising called him Music City Malik, or maybe Austin from A to Z Sports. I'm not sure, but I heard it from one of them, and I was just like, man, that's catchy. I like it. I'm gonna start using it. So there we go.
Oh yeah,
Um,
you're right. It definitely is catchy. The one thing I will say that is, and I know that there's a lot of fans out there that are just like hardcore Tannehill. He's elite and blah blah blah. And I mean, I don't want to be
yeah,
one to already give up on Tannehill. But from what I'm seeing in the numbers, I just have to just kind of put him on that caution list of, hey, this is a make or break year for you. This is it. Like, I want him to have that urgency in him that this is that make or break year for him. And I saw you. We looked over together the video of him in mandatory mini camp, where he's kind of like, to me, it seems like he wasn't really taking it that seriously. And you see him kind of, and I mean, it's good that he has that dynamic with the team to joke with his friends and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but he kind of had that like I'm already here attitude. Do you see what I'm saying? And like he didn't
yeah,
really seem to be like pushing too much. Like he was making fun, not making fun, making fun with Music City Malik, telling him, calling him midriff, and then he kind of like did a little
midriff.
yeah, did a little jab over at um Woodside and was like, I could probably burn you right now and runs, which I mean it's good to see him have that dynamic of that kind of fun and stuff, but it also made me kind of take a step back and be like, oh, whoa, are you not taking this seriously?
Yeah,
Did you kind of
yeah,
get that
yeah,
too, or was it?
yeah. Like it's just kind of a joke to him. I think with his position being the quarterback and where they are in the timing of training camp, you wanna be pushing each other, but you also want to keep it loose and light, because the goal is to bond together as a team during this time and to grow as a team. And so I think maybe that's something to do with it. I'm not I don't want to sit here and say the man was not taking it serious because I certainly hope he is taking his job serious. Otherwise, he's not going to be the starting quarterback for long. But so
Oh,
with
you're
all
right.
that being
You're
said, I'd
right.
like
It's
to
early.
take the time real quick to just say if y'all are not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, turn on notifications so you get the latest from What's Shaking Titans with Gary and April, as well as check us out on all of our different social media platforms. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, sorry, not Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. You know, we have our own webpage. All the links to all of these sites and social media platforms will be in the description below. So, with all that being said, let's dive into Derrick Henry. Is Derrick Henry currently the best running back in the NFL? I actually wrote a article on this maybe 3 days ago. So if you would like to read that article, you could definitely check us out on our website and read the article for yourselves there. Um, but April, what do you think?
I mean, I agree with you. I do think at this moment, looking at all the numbers, and we know it's not just a numbers game, but looking at, all of the evidence and everything, I think, yeah, I think right now he's the best running back in the NFL. Now, could that change? Is Taylor coming for him? Yes. It's going to be a very interesting year to see if he stays on top. It's going to be a very interesting year to see if he finishes, what he started last year. Because going back to what you said just earlier in the show about Tannehill not being able to throw us back into a game, well, how did we get back into those games where it was so close and everything? It was on the back of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry
Yep.
could run us back into the game. And I think that's what the dynamic was last year. It changed at the end when we didn't have Derrick Henry. And so we might not have liked the way we won because it didn't look pretty, but we did win. But Tannehill had to struggle in order to throw us back into those games, and even Foreman had to press on his back a lot of
Yeah.
times to get us back into the games. So
Well,
I
definitely, and
definitely
I
think
think
that he's the best running back in the NFL, and he's going to have to stay that way.
yeah, and I definitely think that that has a lot to do with us getting Malik Willis this year. But I would also like to sit here and say Derrick Henry is not like any other running back we have seen since the lights of people like Barry Sanders. And I would even say that he is different than them in his own unique way. Derrick Henry, a lot of people are kind of starting to count him out. First of all, media, sports media has been cutting him out, and for years, they've never counted him as a top running back in the league. They had always pick Chris, what was it, Christian McCarthy or am I saying that right? Yeah, they'd pick him over Henry all the time, and I think with Derrick Henry, I think I think he has at least two, at most three more years of like absolute beast solid running before we start to really see that decline. And I would like to also just sit here and remind everybody the trajectory that Derrick Henry was heading towards last year before his foot injury was legendary. It was legendary. And had Derrick Henry finished the season out, he would have been known as the best running back to ever play in the NFL. And I would literally put him above anyone else. So
Gary, I tell
Derrick
you,
Henry
I
has a lot
can,
to prove, and
yeah.
I think he's going to do that by becoming the second NFL player to come back off of an injury and actually rush for 2K yards. The first being Adrian Peterson in 2012 and 2013, and then in the year or season of 2012 and 2013. Sorry. And I think Derrick Henry is going to become the first ever running back to ever rush for two 2K seasons in the year of 22 and 2023. So I think I think the future is still very bright for Derrick Henry. I know that the Titans and him are currently in contract talks on working out a extension and stuff like that on his deal. So only time will really tell with what he's going to get. But I also think it's a weird time to be the best running back in the NFL. And the reason why I say that is we're we're in a
It's
time
a
in the
pathway.
NFL where the
Mhm.
NFL relies and counts and values its wide receiver at a
Mhm.
higher uh, amount than its running backs. And
Yep.
if you look in NFL history, only one of its top 45 top rushing seasons have even came in the last 5 years, and guess what? That was Derrick Henry's 2,000 yard season. So there's a lot to be said. So the only question is there enough room for the king to get a king's contract? What do you think about that? Do you think the king will get a king size contract? I think that the
Mhm.
Titans might kind of be leaning to making this man's pockets fat. After all, he did give the team a hometown discount.
Well, I'll tell you, Gary. I don't, and this is my personal opinion. I haven't read this anywhere. I haven't seen this anywhere. But when he bought part of Nashville Soccer League, that said to me he doesn't want to play anywhere else. I think that even if they don't give him a king size contract, he's going to be sour, but I don't think he's going to try to go anywhere else like AJ. I think that he understands this business. He understands how many years he has, but I don't think he understands how valuable he is. I can't tell you how many press conferences last year that Vrabel said, I have to thank Derrick Henry. We put a lot on Derrick Henry. We ask a lot of Derrick Henry, and it's because we literally put the whole team on his back, and he never, never once throws it back at us. And for him, it's always, always team first. Um, it's going to be really interesting to watch if he keeps that same mentality. The better he gets, the more he does get media attention and things like that. But I mean, and you're completely right about a wide receiver, even a passer, getting so much more attention about that. So much to the point where Derrick Henry had to change his game to where he could also be the one that catches a short pass. If we need it, and he worked on that, and he brought a new dynamic, and that was where he was going before he got hurt. He
Yeah.
was bringing that. He was bringing that dynamic in, and let me remind big media. Not that they watch me. I hope they would one day, and maybe they'll see this. Um, but let me just remind them. He broke his foot um, at the beginning of the Colts game, and didn't say anything. He wouldn't allow his coach to say anything. He wouldn't say anything about it. You saw one glimpse of him on the sideline with his shoe off, and I think me and you both said that's not a good thing. That's not good. But we kind of let it fall by the wayside because he kind of still did his job throughout that game. And even though he wasn't getting the numbers in that game, he was that distraction on that field so that Tannehill could get the numbers in that game. And it was after that game. The news didn't shock me. I know it shocked so many people because, well, A, it's Derrick Henry. B, he's never hurt. But it didn't shock me, that he was going to go in for surgery because I saw it on that sideline. We both did. We said it's not a good thing. But he is an impeccable man, and I really hope that they do not do what they kind of did to AJ and kind of shun him in his contract, even though it's debatable, very debatable, whether AJ deserves a higher number or not. But it's definitely not debatable for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, no, like I would sit here and say if I had to pick between the two players, I'm picking Henry every day, hands down,
Every
over
time.
AJ. And that's just simply because Derrick Henry's value in the NFL is unlike any other running back we have right now because there is no other running back that is running at the physicality level, at the speed level, and getting as much production as Henry has over the last 3 seasons and 4 seasons. And last year would have definitely been another 2K season if you ask me, had he not been injured. And I would also like to take time to talk about his injury. His foot injury. The last time we heard from the doctors, they were talking about how they don't expect this injury to really affect Henry like it would anyone else, simply because they were able to get to it before it got so really, really bad. But they went ahead, I'm assuming the way they made it sound is like they didn't have to plate it, but they went ahead and put a plate in there just to be on the safe side. So, Derrick Henry healed up really quick, but I think just having that plate in there to kind of reinforce it is only going to help him and give him more support and more stability when he goes to, make that plant cut, burst to the end zone. I think,
Gary, I had a go ahead.
do what?
Oh, I
I
was going to
think,
say I
I
had a
think,
quick question for you too, but go ahead and then I'll ask my question.
okay. Yeah, so I think Derrick Henry is definitely looking at least one more just outrageous, mind blowing season in the NFL. I definitely think that we have at least 2, at most 3 more years of him just really keep excelling and bringing new stuff to his game and all of that. So with all that being said, let's hop into our last topic here, which is the Titans rookie. Which Titans rookie do you think is going to be more impactful for the Tennessee Titans this year?
I'm really hoping that it's Traylon Burks. I really am.
Traylon.
I'm hoping that he comes out of training camp and he is everything that they drafted him to be, because we're going to need it. But going back to the Derrick Henry thing, I just had a quick question. With his injury, do you think that gives us an advantage facing other teams who may have game planned for him before that may not be thinking that he's going to be the same Derrick Henry now? And hopefully he is, of course, and he's better. But I'm thinking it may give us a little bit of advantage facing other teams that may have counted him out after his injury.
I would have to completely disagree because of the caliber of player Derrick Henry is. I don't care what injury the man comes off of. Whatever defense he is facing, he's going to be facing 9+ men in the box. you know, and that shows you. I know the national media really won't talk about it too much because he's a Titans player, but it just goes to show you how much, respect that other NFL organizations have to give this man that, even if he's coming off an injury, you never know. You're going to have to keep the box stacked. I don't see them not stacking the boxes. I think this year is going to, Derrick Henry's definitely going to have to bring a new element to his game, especially with the state of our offensive line. I think we're going to see a lot more pass catching out of Derrick Henry. But I also think that we're going to see a lot of the typical Derrick Henry plays, the stiff arms, the 70, 80, 90 yard plus touchdown runs. I think we're going to get all of that still. But I just don't see. I just don't see a team
I just hope
not
that the other teams
really.
aren't ready for it.
Yeah, I just don't see him putting that much. Sitting there saying, "Well, we're not gonna focus in that much on him." He's not the player he once was. No, they're gonna trust me. They're gonna focus and they're gonna put time on that man. It don't matter what point or state he's at in his career. When you face the Titans, your game plan on defense is how do we stop 22 in the backfield? Because if you don't do that, then it's game over. It's game over. Titans control the clock. They, once they start scoring, it's just it's on from there. I think especially when Titans are really good head out in the game, they tend to win those games a lot, especially over the last 2 seasons. You know, but Titans also have had those stupid losses like the Jets. So anyway, so I want to say for me, my pick, my dream pick would of course be Music City Malik, but we all know that he's not going to get a chance to start right off the gate. I think
Never know.
the
In the
Titans wide
NFL.
receiver or the Titans rookie that will make the most impact for the Tennessee Titans, I think, is going to be Cal Phillips.
Okay.
And I say
Okay.
Cal Phillips because I want to pick Traylon Burks, but there's still a lot of questions out there
A lot of
surrounding
questions.
Traylon Burks. And I really got to thinking the other day, uh, if we have Robert Woods as our number one, we put Cal Phillips in as our slot receiver. And then, if Burks is out, ready, we have Burks on the other side of Cal Phillips. And that's a three-headed, pretty dynamic duo of a wide receiver core. I still wouldn't rank our wide receiver core with any of the top tier teams right now. I think that we are probably D plus at best. There are still a lot of rumors circling the Tennessee Titans, whether or not they're going to be trying to trade to get a receiver or try and bolster their roster or add depth somewhere. So we're just none of that has been kind of brought out to the light. But as soon as it does, we will definitely report on it here at What's Shaking Titans with Gary and April. So definitely stay tuned. Check us out on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, our Instagram page, our YouTube page. Listen to our podcast on Spotify and Anchor. And always check out our website as well. We got all kinds of cool articles up on there. We'll have links to every single podcast and video that we do. So yeah, I'd have to say though, I would take Cal Phillips above Traylon Burks just because I think coming into the start of the season, Cal Phillips is going to be able to build the more production and be more productive coming into the start of the season than Traylon Burks. I think Traylon Burks will be more productive at the end of the season. But I think by the time Burks starts getting the wheels underneath him and going good, that Phillips would already have made such an impact to where, I don't think Traylon Burks would be able to surpass that. Now, this is, of course, just my personal beliefs, and I could be 100% wrong, which would not be the first time. So, it's really, I guess it's up to the man upstairs on that. But yeah, April, is there anything else you'd like to talk about real quick?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to talk about some things that we could actually get into on our next show. We don't have to get into in depth right here. We could if we wanted to, but the tight end ex- part of it has been exponentially great. So in the mini camp video, you kind of saw that Tannehill and Swaim are becoming a lot more acquainted with each other than they were last year. And then you also have Chig coming up. Chig is a great tight end that we drafted, and he has just raving reviews coming out of camp. So I'm really excited to kind of see how he is, in the preseason games and kind of see if he wins a spot starting, because all I've read is just that he's doing, a great job, and so I'm kind of excited to see where our tight ends rank. And coming up, and I'm excited about that. So I would just like to, just ask our fans and kind of see what they think about our tie-ins, and see if that could be a dynamic that we're bringing back, because at one point the Titans targeted their tight ends more than they targeted wide receivers anyway. That's why we haven't had a lot of huge names in Tennessee as far as wide receivers go, because our tight ends did the job and they did it fine. Especially Frank Wycheck, he definitely put the stamp on that tight end position here in Tennessee. And so I'm kind of excited to see if we could get that dynamic back and kind of tie it to the running back dynamic and the wide receiver dynamic, to kind of make our offense just that unstoppable offense.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think that that is definitely something. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties on my end. But yeah, so I definitely think that that is a great topic for us to go over here at What's Shaking Titans on our next podcast, and we will definitely do that. Because I do think that having a tight end, a reliable tight end target who is able to actually catch the football, I think having that dynamic on the team will definitely help elevate Ryan Tannehill maybe back to the level of production he was back when we had Jonnu Smith on our team. I also would like to say, if you actually take a deep dive into Ryan Tannehill's NFL career, when he was in Miami, if I'm correct, I want to say he played a lot better for Miami Dolphins when they had that reliable tight end target as well. So, I think that's just maybe a comfort zone for Ryan Tannehill. And I think that is something definitely the Titans are looking to exploit after the type of ending we had to our season last year, especially with the type of people we had on our roster. Offensively, it was just it was unacceptable in every manner, that loss. But definitely, I'm excited to see what the future holds for the Tennessee Titans. So definitely stay tuned for our next podcast, and we will definitely will be going over the tight ends and a couple other hot topics, as well as we would like to take the time to announce, that we're going to be trying to push out more content, more stuff to y'all, a lot on a more consistent base coming up in the near future. We're currently working on coming out with 2 additional shows of What's Shaking, and they're both going to be primetime shows. One will be hosted by myself, and the other by April. And then we'll come together at the end of each week, and we'll have our big show where we really just kind of sit down and we compare thoughts and topics and ideas and stuff like that. So if y'all think that's something y'all would be interested in, definitely hop on over to our Facebook page, our Twitter page, our Instagram, YouTube. Comment in the comment section. Let us know what y'all think, what y'all would like to see. Let us know some topics y'all want to hear about. If y'all want to hear about the defense, if y'all want to hear about the offensive coordinators, if you want to hear about the training staff or John Robinson, whatever topic y'all are wanting to hear us talk about, definitely just let us know in the comment, and we will definitely do that.
Gary, there actually is something that I would like to hear. I would like to hear that you were right. I think we had a disagreement last year about Caleb Farley and his production in the game, and I think I was right. I think I was right. So I think I want to hear. I think I want to
So
hear that.
I have to eat that one from last year because he got injured. But I'm gonna double down on Caleb Farley this year. I'm gonna
Oh,
double
double or
down on
nothing.
Caleb Farley.
You
I
know what? I
think
think he has a lot
that
to prove it, and I'd be willing to put a little stock in it.
yeah. So I think that Caleb Farley will definitely be able to come in and be productive for us this year. I think last year was just something anybody could have seen coming from a mile away. Being, if you look at how small he looked in the NFL last year compared to, the how much weight he's been able to put on. he definitely looks like a completely different person now than he did this time last year. So I'm very excited to see what the future holds for him. And really, like I said, I think I will be doubling down on my Caleb Farley or prediction on his production. So I will definitely double down with that. With that being said, we would like to once again just take the time to thank everybody for joining us here at What's Shaking Titans. We hope everybody has a blessed and wonderful night, and we'll catch y'all later.
Thank you.